A top analyst just bet big on XRP hitting $30 this cycle. It's crazy, right? Well, trust me, I was very skeptical too, until I went digging for the truth. So, I saw this rather bold prediction on my feed. A certified Elliott Wave analyst who goes by the name of XForceGlobal confidently is saying that XRP will reach somewhere between $15 to $30 before this market cycle ends. Now, for context, XRP has been chilling around the low $2 lately, so that kind of jump would be like turning a $100 investment into $600 or even $1,200. So my first reaction was yeah, and I'm the Queen of England. But something in me, it needed to know if he was actually onto something here, or whether or not he had just hopped onto the hype train. Alright, so before we get way too carried away, let me drop in that mandatory disclaimer, because you know the drill. Now this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Now, let's get back to this story. I decided to pull on this $30 XRP thread, and the whole thing turned into a pretty wild ride through charts, tweets, and a little bit of deja vu. Now, XForceGlobal, that analyst that I mentioned earlier, he is not just some kind of random moon boy. He's actually the first certified Elliott Wave analyst in Korea. Now, according to this guy, the charts and the fundamentals, they both point towards this huge breakout for XRP. He basically said, look, I've seen the waves, and they're telling me that XRP is on track. And he still believes XRP is set for a target between $15 and $30 this cycle. Mind you, that is about a 6 to 12x gain from its current prices. And all the while, many of us were thinking that XRP's party might actually have already ended for this round. Naturally, of course, the crypto community had some opinions on this. Some agreed, plenty disagreed. One trader, we'll call him Nico, basically threw a reality check at us all. For XRP to even hit $15, let alone $30, it would require a kind of expansion that we just haven't seen in past cycles. He noted that in previous runs, XRP's biggest pumps were like 3x to 5x jumps, not 15x. Now to this guy, $30 is not a cycle target, it's more of a moonshot scenario. Meanwhile, of course, there are other community members, such as Justin, who questioned the timing rather than the possibility. He basically asked whether the next major impulse would actually arrive in 8 months, years, or maybe decades, right? Because you can practically feel the impatience in that particular comment, and I do personally get it. Now, XRP has been hanging around in this $2 neighborhood for what feels like an eternity, right? And while the rest of the market has been partying, it's kind of like everyone has got an invite to the moon except for XRP. And we're all standing here just checking our watches. So at this point, I am sitting there, thinking to myself, is this $30 XRP stuff just pure hopium? Are we XRP holders simply delirious from waiting for too long? Now, I needed more input here, so I kept on digging, and that is when this plot thickened even more, because I found out that XForceGlobal isn't the only one seeing pretty big things on the horizon. There is actually a mini army of analysts waving some pretty bullish flags for XRP lately. For instance, there's this chart guru known as eGrag, and he pointed out something that really grabbed me by my eyeballs. The current XRP price action looks eerily similar to what we saw before the explosive rally of 2017 and 2021. Now, in this particular view, XRP is in this tight compression phase right now. The quiet, the low volatility period where nothing much really happens until, well, it does. Now, this guy is saying that picture a spring that is coiling tighter and tighter and tighter, getting ready to just snap. Now, when it releases, you could get this kind of boing, right? Or at least in crypto terms, a face-melting pump, at least As eGrag literally said, XRP will melt faces within 4 to 6 weeks. Now that phrase is kind of like burned into my brain now. It's like a morbid and I'm excited all at the same time, right? Because it kind of backed it up with Fibonacci analysis, tossing out some targets around $6 to $10 for a first burst, and then seeing as high as $37 if things really do get wild. So, when someone as seasoned as eGrag says, mark my words, an explosion is imminent, well, you should probably at least take note and do your own research. You see, that alone actually intrigued me, because if history repeats and we kind of get that breakout, even $6 to $10 would be pretty amazing, right? But $37? Well, that's beyond what even XForceGlobal was predicting, right? It kind of seems like some analysts are trying to just one-up each other on who can imagine a bigger rocket for XRP. Fun times, right? So, when I come across another perspective here from a macro economist called 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗀𝗰. Now, his angle was to look at other coins for analogies. Now, he reminded everyone about Zcash, a cryptocurrency that basically woke up from hibernation and pulled off something like an 18x pump out of absolutely nowhere. So, 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗀𝗰 argued that if that can happen, then XRP, with its much larger community and real-world utility, could at least do a fraction of what Zcash did. Well, he kind of placed a conservative short-term target around $8 to $10 for XRP. And that's kind of funny, calling $8 to $10 conservative, right? When we're sitting here at $2. But the context of all of these other calls, it really is on the lower side of things, right? Still a 4 to 5x from where we are, and that is absolutely nothing to complain about. Okay, so there's another analysis that gave me pause as well, but in a good way. And this one came from a guy called Matt Hughes. Now, if he has actually been looking, I guess, at some of the longer term trend indicators and did notice something that no previous XRP cycle has ever actually had. Because XRP has built up a multi-quarter base above a key trend line on the 3-month Ichimoku cloud chart. Yeah, that one right now. That is a lot of technical jargon, I know, but the takeaway is actually pretty huge here, right? In the last cycles, like 2017 and 2021, XRP never really managed to hold above such an important support level for such a long time. It kind of just blasted off without a safety net and then crashed right the way back down. However, this time, XRP has effectively laid down a solid launchpad. Now, Hughes even calls it one of the strongest long-term structures that XRP has ever displayed. He noted the earlier checkpoint prices around $4.70, $9.30, and $12.30 as possible stepping stones. The main idea that Matt Hughes is kind of portraying here is that the foundation is stronger now, and a stronger foundation can support a much bigger move to the upside. So, here I am, taking in all of these different perspectives. On one side, you've got this hardcore trader kind of warning us to temper our expectations, right? Saying that maybe this cycle peaks out at around $5 to $10, and just nothing more or anything more than that is actually just a simple fairy tale. And on the other side, you've got people saying, no. This time isn't different, buckle up for something enormous. And you know what? Both sides have some pretty valid points. You see, from my own personal point of view, I've lived through a couple of these crypto cycles now. I mean, I remember the 2017 run. XRP basically went from pocket change to over $3 in what felt like a blink of an eye. It was insane. Then 2021 came around, and even though the whole market boomed, XRP kind of lagged behind because of that pesky SEC lawsuit looming over it. It still actually went up, but it didn't break its old records at that time. Now, here we are in late 2025. The lawsuit drama is in the rearview mirror. XRP's involved in more real-world projects than ever before, and yet the price hasn't done much for months. So it's kind of like the quiet before either a dawn or a dud, and everyone is wondering which one it's going to be. So, after hearing all of these experts, if you will, I'll be honest with you. I'm a little bit more optimistic about XRP now than maybe I was a few weeks ago. Right? I started this little investigation pretty skeptical of that whole $30 price target call, right? And I mean, it does sound pretty ridiculous when you kind of look at it in isolation. But now I'm thinking to myself, maybe $30 for XRP is not as far-fetched as maybe it might seem. And not in that kind of blow off top kind of scenario either. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, of course, but what I am saying is I'm not laughing at the possibility of it anymore. We already know that the liquidity within the XRP order books across the different exchanges is very thin. We add in some additional kind of demand and, well, things could get pretty crazy. Now, of course, that is just basic logical supply-demand mechanics, and those things can change every single day, every single hour, so you've got to keep an eye on all the detail. Anyway, if this market does go absolutely bonkers, like Bitcoin rips up higher, maybe there's an altcoin season, although I'd like to kind of rephrase that season to a ETF season and it goes wild, well, XRP might finally get its spotlight in that kind of moment, right? And yes, $15, $20, even $30, they could theoretically happen. It's a long shot for sure, but it's not impossible under these right circumstances and situations. That's a pretty big shift in mindset, isn't it? Because it's the evidence here that really has kind of shored things up, or at least the informed speculation anyway, and it is stacking up quite nicely for XRP's future. Ultimately, though, let's ground ourselves here, because none of these analysts actually have crystal balls, and, well, guess what? Neither do I. And if I did, then I would be making this video from a private island, right? Rather than here in this little, this Dubai apartment that I have. Anyway, these are just educated guesses. None of them are guarantees. Now, the last thing that I want to do is give anyone a bit of false sense of certainty, because that's not what this channel is about. I'm just reporting on the latest news. Anyway, crypto has a way of humbling even the most confident of predictions, right? So while all of these bullish signs are quite exciting, I'm also keeping my expectations in check. Stay hopeful, but also stay rational. In other words, optimism in one hand, risk management in the other. Now, in light of a possible big move, I had to ask myself, what should I be doing right now to be ready just in case XRP really does take off? Now, it's one thing to daydream about moonshots and Lamborghinis, but it is another to actually be prepared to act, right? So I want to share a couple of things that I'm personally doing to get ready. Again, none of this is financial advice. It just kind of makes sense for me. First, let's talk about the exchanges and access, because one lesson that I've learned multiple times over, and let's face it, sometimes the hard way too, is that when crypto markets heat up, exchanges can get overwhelmed or even go down. Now, in past bull runs, we've seen Coinbase go offline in the middle of a price surge. Binance temporarily halts new signups. It's pretty crazy stuff. Now, the last thing that you want to do is be locked out of a trading platform or withdrawing your assets because one exchange or your only exchange is actually overloaded at the worst possible time. Now, my solution to this is to diversify your exchanges. Now, I have accounts on basically every major exchange that I can. I've done the whole KYC process, set up 2FA, MFA, the whole entire works, right? And I've even done small test trades on each of them to make sure that I know how to use them when the time comes. This is like having a plan A, plan B, plan C, and plan D, right? If exchange A does go down or freezes or heaven forbid crashes and goes bankrupt, then I can just jump over to exchange B or C without missing a single beat. Now, think of it like having multiple exit doors in that theatre. You hope you're never going to need them, but you're going to be glad that they are there during an emergency. On my website, which is linked down below, by the way, I've listed all of the exchanges that I personally use and trust, along with all of the affiliate links that I have for them. Now, yes, full disclosure, those links on my website, they are affiliate links, which means if you do use them, it actually helps support the channel here at no extra cost to yourself. I mention this because I'd like to say a big thank you for anyone who does go over to the website to sign up to those exchanges. It really does mean a lot to us here. Anyway, exchanges like Blowfin, BitGet, for example, are on the list because they're actually been very reliable for me in my experience, and I use them for my day-to-day kind of leverage-based trading. And I have a good range of assets too. Anyway, sometimes you even get sign-up bonuses or free discounts through a lot of those links as well. The key point is this though, whatever platform that you do choose, get your account set up and verified now, not later. do a test run, even if it is just buying a tiny amount of crypto and then withdrawing it. It's so that you are confident in using the platform later. Consider it like a fire drill for your crypto strategy. It's better to practice now during, the dull times rather than in a real fire. Now, speaking of exchanges, I'm actually really excited to announce a special promotion with the Kraken crypto exchange that I can share with you guys. Now, if you sign up for Kraken through my link, again, down in the description down below, you're going to find that link, and you make a trade of at least $100 worth of any crypto that's not a stablecoin within 30 days of opening your Kraken account, well, Kraken is going to reward you with $25 of XRP. Yes, they're going to literally give you free XRP for doing something that you probably would have done anyway, right? Now, this is a limited time offer, and it is a pretty great way to stack a little bit more XRP on the side. Now, even beyond the bonus, Kraken is a solid exchange to have in your arsenal. They have been around since, well, forever, and I personally use them as part of my multi-exchange strategy. All the details and the fine print on that particular promotion are linked in the description down below. Things like, making sure that you sign up using the exact link down in the description, making sure you trade $100 worth of any crypto that's not a stablecoin, making sure that you're in an eligible jurisdiction around the world, because not every jurisdiction, such as New York, would actually be eligible to participate. So do make sure you read all of the fine print. And just to be totally transparent as well, that Kraken link is a referral link, affiliate link, which basically means it supports the channel here as well at no extra cost to you guys. So it is a true win-win situation. You get a bonus and I get to keep making these videos for you guys. All right, so aside from being exchange ready and grabbing some additional promotional opportunities, what else am I doing whilst I wait for XRP's big moment? Well, I'm not just one to sit on my hands doing nothing, right? If there's a way to earn or learn more in the meantime, well, I'm going to be all over it. Now, that brings me to something called Unity. Now, some of you will probably recall that I've mentioned Unity in many of the past videos. But if you haven't heard of it, here's the gist. Now, this is a project that lets you turn your spare smartphones into a part of a decentralized global telecoms network, and you earn crypto for helping out. Now, think of this like the cross between mobile mining and staking. You run an app on your phone that basically helps verify the telecommunications grid, i.e., whether there's good, strong cell signal, or maybe there's an outage, and it reports all of that to the world mobile chain. And in return for the work that you do there, you get paid in different cryptocurrencies. Now, you can choose to be earning your payouts in things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, ADA, Shiba Inu, Polkadot, XRP, amongst many others. So, being the curious person that I am, I did go ahead and buy a Unity node NFT, which basically gives me the rights to operate a bunch of these little mini nodes, right? Now, each Unity node master NFT, if you will, comes with 200 licenses, meaning that I can connect up to 200 devices if I wanted to go all in. Now, I do not have just 200 phones lying around. I'm crazy, I'm just not that crazy. So I'm starting off rather small. I'm going to set up 10 phones that I can just run a test on, right? This is my pilot to see how it all works in practice and what the earnings actually look like. If all goes well and those numbers make sense, then I might scale it up over time. Now, I'm opting to receive my rewards in things like BTC, Ethereum, ADA, and of course, XRP, basically using the system to passively stack even more of my favorite cryptocurrencies. Now, it's pretty cool, at least in theory. I'm essentially just going to be getting those extra coins without really having to buy anything new outright, but just by leveraging some spare hardware and a little bit of electricity. Now, Unity is not the main focus of today's video, and it's not something that I'm going to say that everyone should just go and rush into, right? This is just an experiment for me. And as always, you should do your own research if it piques your own interest. I'm going to put some links in the description to Unity's light paper and their rewards calculator so that you can check out all the details for yourself. And since I know that not everyone wants to have to deal with managing 200 devices, I've actually gone ahead and got a plan to basically get, you guys can get involved on a smaller scale. I purchased a second and third Unity node with the idea of leasing those 200 licenses out to community members who are curious about Unity but don't want to commit to a full node. Now, I'm going to be sharing more information about all of that down in our Discord, so make sure that you're in there if you are interested. All right, let's get back to XRP to wrap up this story today. Right, we've got some pretty bold predictions calling for the moon, right? We've got some skeptics saying that we should all just stay grounded. And then you've got me, somewhere in the middle of all of this, leaning bullish but keeping my feet firmly on the ground. So here is my takeaway from this whole deep dive adventure today. XRP is showing some of the strongest signals that we've seen in a rather long time, maybe even ever. Now, could all of those analysts be wrong and nothing big happens? Absolutely, it's possible that this cycle ends quietly or with just a moderate gain. Maybe XRP goes to $5 or $8 and then just calls it a day. But what if they are actually right? What if this really is the calm before an absolute storm? Imagine a few weeks from now, XRP starts pushing towards, or maybe even past, $3, and then $5. Headlines everywhere would go crazy. Crypto Twitter would lose its collective mind, and suddenly everyone who wrote off XRP is just scrambling to buy back in. Now, I've seen smaller scale versions of this scenario in crypto before, and it gets pretty wild. So if, and it is a big if by the way, but if XRP actually does hit something like $20 or $30, it would be one of those legendary crypto moments that people will be talking about for years to come. It would validate and vindicate a lot of those long-term XRP holders and probably even make a few new millionaires, let's be honest. Now, personally, I'm not going to be banking my entire future on a $30 XRP this cycle. That would be pretty reckless. But what I am doing is positioning myself so that if something even halfway to that actually happens, then I'm ready to take advantage of it. So if it moons, great. I'm going to have options in place to trade or take profits sensibly. And if it doesn't, you know what? That's okay too. I'll still be holding my core XRP position for the longer term anyway. And I'm going to keep on with my strategies like Unity and maintaining multiple exchange accounts, waiting for the next opportunity. Because patience is key in this game, but being prepared is going to be king. In the end, the best thing that we can do is actually stay informed, to stay level-headed and have a plan. And that's what I am doing here, and I encourage you all to do the same in whatever way works for you. Whether you're all in on XRP or just casually interested here, it's a lot more fun and a lot more, or at least a lot less, I should say, stressful to go through all of these ups and these downs with a strong community in your corner. So, if you haven't done so already, do consider joining our free Discord. The link is in the description below. We are sharing information, strategies, and memes, and honestly, it's just a good group of people to navigate the crypto world with. So, if you've enjoyed this little journey with me today and you want to see how it all plays out in the future, you can do me a favor by hitting the like button and the subscribe button and just joining the crypto family here. And I will catch you all in the next one.